Welcome. I'm your host Yusuf, and on today's episode, it is an invitation to step into truth, tenderness, and transformation with Dr. Melanie Gray. We are unraveling how the stories our mothers, grandmothers, and great grandmothers carried don't just shape our memories, they shape our hormones, our stress responses, and the way we move through midlife. This isn't merely about menopause, it's about awakening. It's about reclaiming safety in a body that has held generations of silence and learning how to meet this season with power, clarity, and deep self honoring. With that, I welcome Dr. Melanie to the show.
Oh, Yusuf, thank you so much for that wonderful and warm invitation and welcome. I'm so glad to be here with your audience and to have this important conversation about transitions in life, right? And the transitions in life create stories in each of us.
True. That's so true.
Within each of us are the stories of our mothers, our grandmothers, our friends, our sisters, our cousins, all of that.
So, what do you think is the biggest misconception about our ancestral or multi generational trauma that affects our body?
Well, the truth is, the misconception is that what you say, that how we treat children doesn't matter. That children, so development of a person starts in the womb. The research has shown that when a mother is stressed, right, the cortisol levels, because cortisol goes up when you're stressed. It's a stress hormone that impact that mother's emotional well-being and stress can impact the child. And then when that infant is born, and if they're hearing a lot of noise and if they're startled, there's research that shows that even infants can experience PTSD. And so if we're not careful because they're being startled, they don't know what they're hearing, but they know how it makes them feel. And it impacts how they then develop. Have you ever seen some kids and you wonder why some kids are more nervous and jumpy than others? Right?
Yes.
It could be what they're experiencing. And so then they carry that trauma on and they carry trauma behaviors on. And the research shows that trauma can transcend 3 generations, Yusuf, because of what? The stories. Because of what? The beliefs our parents give us. My mother gave me some of her fears, and she gave me some of the fears of her own mother, right? And I had to work through those things. Have you had similar experiences?
I I might have similar experiences, but I could not think of those as of now. I want to know that when you meet a woman who rejects the idea that their past or lineage influences their current health, how do you help them?
Well, you people have to be willing to receive truth, and so it takes time. Because most people, we really elevate the people in our lives we're supposed to love and trust, right? That's why people don't leave abusers. They normalize the abuse.
Mm,
So helping people is a path of feeling safe enough to be true enough to what you've really experienced. And that was and exposing people to different points of view so that you begin to realize maybe I'm not supposed to be yelled at. Maybe I should think better about myself because sometimes we normalize a lot of uh bad activity, abnormal experiences in our lives, and we don't know we can break free. So I think women have to know how to break free, that they can break free to change their mindsets and belief systems about themselves and what they deserve and what they should can be experiencing in life.
Your response is will resonate with many of our listeners because in our generation we have been taught to just push it through. You can do it. Everything is fine. And
Yeah. We have a whole generation of that. We celebrate exhaustion. Oh, just push through it. Because everybody's pushing through for more. And more what? More stuff? More cars? More bigger houses? I mean, life is not all about money. It's about relationship. Relationships with yourself. How do you like yourself? How do you value yourself? Can you sit in a room with yourself and just enjoy a book? You know, are you okay with silence in the room? We have to stop normalizing abnormality and get our cues about life from what understand our own hearts. You know, what we really created to do. I believe we were all created to know God, love him, and serve him. You know, I'm deeply rooted in my faith, you know, as a Christian person. I know everyone is not. But you at least gotta sit down and listen. You at least gotta be still, you know, to really get centered about what is relevant to you, what's important to you. Not because you saw it on Facebook or Instagram, but because it's really important to you.
yes, you know, the way you have been teaching us as of now, that from mothers to grandmothers and from them to us, it's like the body has been keeping the score of everything. And if that score is bad or negative, it's upon us that we should try to make it level and not to push it forward to our next generations.
Yes, but first you have to understand you, right? I think you have to be willing to, as much as I edify and love my mother, Yusuf, and she is 90. Uh, when I was 20, I took my mother. I learned. I began to see some things in my mother that I didn't want for myself.
Hmm.
And
That's
so
true.
I had to do some things different. My mother, I took my mother on her first cruise. I'm a nurse, Yusef,
Mm,
and when I was first generation in my family to go to college, and I worked my way through. I ate popcorn, I did sewing, I did cleaning, I did whatever I had to do to be a nurse. And I said, when I get to be a nurse, I'm going to take my mother on a trip because she's never had this. So I took my mother on this cruise. I was so proud of myself. My head was up. I was so proud of myself. And we were talking one night on the cruise, and she began to tell me how she was in therapy because she was dealing with the traumas of her mother. Now, at that time, my mother was 50 years old, early 50s,
mm,
and I'm 20 something, I'm about 27, I think. I don't and I said to myself, I will not be 50 years old dealing with issues I have with you. I'm letting it go right now. I'm not carrying this on 20 and 30 years in my life. And that was an awakening for me to understand really, you know, maybe what her experiences were because she'd never shared it. And they had been kind of hard. So I knew, you know, you don't think about when you're a kid, you don't think about your parents ever having been a kid, right? You think they were just they grew up out the womb adults. They came out, they were adults, they were not children, they did not understand their experience. But I
mm,
began to realize she was a kid and she did grow up with pain. And so she did the best that she could with me, right? I don't judge her. People do the best that they can. And there's no guidebook to being a parent, I don't think. If you found it, you let me know, Yusuf. I think you can make us both rich. But but there isn't. So I think women have to come to truth. You know, you have to be willing to love your parent and decide what of them do you want to carry and what do you need to let go.
that's so true. And you often speak about that body remembering what the mind tries to override. How do you see that this shows up in our hormonal imbalances like adrenaline fatigue or thyroid shifts, etc., etc.?
Well, behaviors. I think I'm speaking more about behaviors and stress. Right? So we learn to our reactions. Sometimes we have reactions to things that we allow some things to stress us that we do not. But when we go into stress, our cortisol levels go up. We don't sleep. We have body aches. We're, not responding to people kindly. We're snapping off. We're yelling. We're feeling some kind of way. And we have to be aware of that, be true to ourselves, and say, this is not good. And what am I going to do to change it? So your behavior, stress comes out in everyone in different ways. Also, stress causes, you find yourself getting sick all the time. Stress reduces your immune system, causes muscle and body aches, causes fatigue. You're not sleeping. Your hair can break off and get brittle. Your skin can get dry. Your gut gets tight. You're constipated. You feel like you can't digest your food. There are all kind of things that happen because of stress. But you have to know everyone's stresses are different too. So you have to, some stresses just come with life, right? If you care, have you have to work, if you have a bad boss, if you have a wayward child, if you have 5 children and you're trying to work and take care of your husband, there are many stressors that life has, but there are also stressors that we put on ourselves. There are stresses, expectations we put on ourselves that aren't real. We place ourselves in roles with our family where I have to be the one in the family to do it. I'm the one in the family everybody comes to. And then you put that stress on yourself and you don't ask for help when you need it, then that's on you. So we have to look at what does come with life and how can we adjust that? And what am I taking on myself that I need to give up so that I am less stressed?
No, that that is that makes so much sense, I would say, in a simpler line.
Yeah, I mean, some things we don't have to do, but we have roles in our family. What's your role in your family?
I am that small kid that brings fun to my family.
You bring fun. Are you the youngest? Are you one of the youngest?
Yeah, I'm
You
the youngest.
wonder. Oh, you are the youngest, so you get to have fun, and all the older ones work for you.
Pretty much.
I get that. Well, I'm the oldest. I'm the person in my family. I'm the oldest cousin. So I'm the old. I have one sister. I am the one that takes care of my parents. I'm the doer of my family. But I've had to minimize that, right? I had to reduce some of that stress because, like, for example, some of the younger siblings or my niece and nephews, they want to lean on me to pay their bills. I'm like, I used to, oh, they're young. Oh, I need to help them out. Then I said, well, now they're 20 and 30. They're 30, actually all 30. I'm like, well, your bill, you should know when your bills come now. They're not a surprise. You can pay that. Don't just spend your money any kind of way and then think I'm supposed to bail you out. But I used to take that on, right? I take on that burden of caring for so many. I said, well, I don't have to do that anymore.
That's true. You also describe menopause as a transformation rather than a decline.
Oh, it's definitely a transformation. Definitely not a decline. Now, there are things that transform in your body that you don't like, you know, the the weight gain. You lose your eyebrows. You have to, well, your skin, your hormones, you're no longer mincing. You're no longer childbearing age. You have some physical shifts, but it's also a transformation that you can embrace with joy. See, women used to think that menopause was kind of like a decline. For one thing, women didn't live longer. They didn't live as long, right? So they really didn't have a lot of vision past menopause. But women are living longer now, and they want to live well past menopause, and they can. It's like God is, think of all the things, all the freedom you have at that point in your life. Your kids are more adult or more independent. You don't have to have, the challenge of menses and cramps and pads and all of those things. I think there's a shift that happens mentally too. If you want, it's like you can reinvent yourself because now you have more freedom to invent yourself. You can change your style. You can, you know, become more, fashionable. You can be anything you want. So I believe the shift in how you perceive menopause or that point in your life doesn't have to be like you're going down because most women are now living 20, 30, 40 or more years past menopause. It's not time to quit. It's not time to quit. You have to be willing to pivot and reinvent. You have to be willing to be a lifelong learner. Skills, we unearth, rebirth some skills and talents that you put down. Maybe you used to sing. Sing again. Maybe you used to play an instrument. Play it again. Maybe you had a dream of travel. Book a trip, right? So sometimes, Yusuf, we have dreams, but we don't put the action. We're not intentional about activating them so that this part season in our life becomes different. And I was also to add to that, that women have to be willing, if you're going to change your life, sometimes you have to look at your life and change the people in it. Everybody in your life is not going to celebrate your new birth, going through menopause, and your redefinition of yourself.
Mm.
If people are not building you, uplifting you, encouraging you, why are you in those relationships? Then move on. You've got 20, 30, 40 more years to make new friends. And, keep the old, they're good, you know, all silver and gold if they're good.
Mm. That that thought is very empowering in itself, because society kind of rejects women after menopause, but women embracing that identity not as a decline but as a transformation is in itself very empowering.
Well, the word doesn't have to, you don't have to be rejected. You reject you if you choose to be rejected. So I don't believe that, I mean, ageism is real. Yusuf, I'm not going to tell you that ageism is not real. I'm not going to tell you that I have not experienced ageism,
Mm.
but I don't own it.
Yes.
If you're gonna have that mindset, then you're not for me anyway. And so I forge on. I don't tell everybody my age. I'm 67, but don't tell everybody.
Okay, sure. You blend spirituality with neuroscience very beautifully. How do faith and neurobiology work together to support resilience and renewal?
Well, I am committed to my faith, and to my faith in my God and my Jesus, I find peace. And so he created me, and I trust the God who created me. And my faith in him and his word that guide me don't keep me centered, if you would, and at peace, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so, because I'm focused on the joy of the Lord and I have confidence in his love for me, I don't have time to be stressed, right? Because we cannot complain and and speak praises at the same time, right? So what comes out of my mouth when I speak to myself are that I love Jesus and Jesus loves me. The joy of the Lord is my strength. My day is hard today. I'm going through something today, my family, I'm sick, whatever, but the joy of the Lord is my strength, and I will trust him. And so because I speak life to myself through faith in my word, then I'm centered on that, not on the circumstances I'm living through in that moment. And so that's how I stay at peace, because you can't do both. So you can be faith or you going stress. So what do you choose? What activity do you choose in this moment?
Mm. Dr. Melanie, are there any ways that our listeners can connect with you?
Absolutely. They can find me at Dr. Melanie, Melanie Gray, Gray, theconfidencecoach.com. Dr. Melanie Gray, theconfidencecoach.com. And I have resources on my webpage about how to handle exhaustion, how to find energy, some quick helps for the listeners.
Perfect. And do you have any last message that you want to leave us with?
Yes, stop it. If you are stressed and don't like this position that you're in, stop it. Scan your body. Listen to what's happening in your life and your body. Be true to yourself about what is really happening. Own your no. No to other people. Don't be so quick to say yes. Don't apologize for saying no. Be willing to prioritize yourself. P. And then I, be willing to be intentional about change and in your life. Make a real plan because you said, you know that a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I know none of your listeners are believing in fairy dust and wishes. They have to be intentional. And then T, they have to be willing to transform and do the work. Change takes work. We don't lose weight without work. We don't build muscle without work. You don't get a degree without work. You don't even apply for a new job without doing something, right? So transition means effort. And then I would also encourage them to have faith, to have faith in God who loves you, created you for more, and be kind to yourself and love yourself because you are a gift. Every listener is a gift. You've got to embrace yourself as a gift. You've got to know that you're a gift. You got to tell yourself a gift because faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. And God says that you're a gift. He loves you so much that he sent his son. Be encouraged, listeners. Be encouraged, women. Your best is yet to come. That's what I say, Yusuf.
This conversation reminds us that we what we carry isn't our fault, but what we transform can become our legacy. Midlife,
Absolutely.
midlife is not a collapse, but a calling. And your healing creates ripples across generations.
Yes.
And if today's episode stirred something in you, let it be the nurse to reclaim your body, your voice, and your worth. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep choosing yourself.